miles per hour. Lows around 24 tonight, mainly clear skies. Get weather anytime by calling 824-6101 or online at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. Currently 31.
WTIM.
You're listening to WTIM, your information station. Time now for your expanded local news. I'm Reed Kamai. Governor J.B. Pritzker has unveiled his budget proposal for the next year as part of his State of the State address, which he delivered on Wednesday. It comes as federal pandemic relief funds are set to run out for Illinois and other states. The governor said there would be a slight increase in discretionary spending, but also cuts to programs he began while in office. Here's the governor.
7 times now, I have promised to propose and sign a balanced budget. And 7 times I have delivered on that promise. This year will be no different, despite how challenging this 8th year's budget is. Prudence demanded that this year's budget proposal seeks a discretionary spending increase that is less than 0.5%. It levels off and in some cases reduces programs that are important to me, some of which were proposals of my own. But I believe that the imperative of responsible governance and overcoming the fiscal irresponsibility of past decades must come ahead of the interests of any one politician, of any one program, or any one party.
Governor Pritzker highlighted some new programs his administration would implement. They include the Building Up Illinois Development, or BUILD plan, which he says will streamline new housing development and lower costs for buyers and renters.
In many places, local regulations have made it too difficult and costly to build new housing. Some of the rules even have shameful roots that go back to the days of redlining. Often the problem is a failure to modernize and keep up with the changing times that we live in. It all adds up to bureaucratic red tape that unnecessarily increases costs, delays construction, and frequently kills projects altogether. For example, local parking mandates often require a uniform minimum number of spaces for every new build, even in places where people don't have cars because they have ample public transit and available street parking. Unused parking spots add millions of dollars in costs and severely limit the number of new units that can be built affordably. Spaces for cars are being prioritized over spaces for people.
The new budget calls for continued funding for its partnership with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. The administration's goal is to bring the program to every county. It currently fully reaches all but 14 counties.
From the Austin neighborhood of Chicago to Pulaski County in Southern Illinois, 97,000 children, birth to 5, regardless of their family income, now receive free age-appropriate books in the mail every month. Reading literacy starts at home, and this program is working to make it easier for parents to give their kids a great start.
Politicians on both sides of the aisle are reacting to the state budget proposal and address on Wednesday. Republicans have called out the governor for what they consider to be excessive spending, while Democrats are calling for making the governor's proposals reality. Republican State Representative Brad Hallbrook of Shelbyville says he views this year's budget proposal as another instance of property tax increases as opposed to other methods of reform.
But here's what I think Illinois families are really asking. Will we hear a serious plan for substantive property tax reform? Illinois families pay the highest property taxes in the nation. Seniors on fixed incomes are being taxed out of their homes. Young families are struggling to buy their first home. Yet year after year, meaningful reform is avoided while governments continue to tax and spend.
As for state senators, Springfield-based Steve McClure believes Governor Pritzker has the wrong priorities and accused him of deflecting blame for the state's fiscal challenges on President Donald Trump.
Well, the governor again proposes the biggest budget in the history of our state, and it's about $720 million short unless he gets some new taxes passed. And it's just disappointing. I mean, people are struggling to pay their bills right now. The governor also talked about his energy policies, which have been such a disaster. So I don't know. I mean, the governor wants to blame President Trump. He wants to blame everybody. But, how about you look in the mirror, Governor, and realize that the energy prices, at least in our state, are thanks to you. And these huge budgets are because you are not prioritizing what needs to be prioritized.
From the Democratic side, Representative Jahan Gordon Booth from Peoria described the budget as one that would help communities and lead to brighter futures for Illinoisans. State Senator Selena Villanueva, who is from Chicago, praised the plan for addressing what she views as top priorities, but acknowledged that it is only a first step. The full budget proposal can be read through a link in this story in terms of the reactions, and also the one about the speech itself on our website, TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. Lawmakers and Governor Pritzker will have to come to an agreement on a spending plan by the end of May. A resolution led by statewide Senator Doris Turner is calling for a review of school policies statewide to ensure students with service animals are protected under the law. Turner introduced the measure after meeting with a local student who can no longer bring her service animal to school due to reported harassment from other students. Turner says unclear or inconsistent school policies can lead to disability discrimination when accommodations like service animals are not properly supported. The resolution, Senate Resolution 542, encourages Illinois schools to review their policies to ensure compliance with disability rights laws governing service animal access. Under federal law, service animals are permitted to accompany students at all school activities, both inside and outside the classroom. The measure follows a recent incident involving a student at Rochester High School who uses a medical alert dog to help manage type 1 diabetes. The student reported repeated harassment, including other students stepping on the dog, pulling its tail, throwing food, and barking in hallways. The student also shared her experience on social media, saying the school district had not taken action to protect her service animal. Turner says no student should feel isolated at school because of a medical necessity, adding that the situation highlights the need for stronger policy awareness and enforcement to ensure student safety and inclusion. Senate Resolution 542 was adopted by the Illinois Senate Education Committee on Tuesday. And now a word from Taylorville Community Credit Union.
Life moves fast and your banking should keep up. This is Will Perkins. At Taylorville Community Credit Union, managing your money is easier than ever. With our 24/7 online banking and mobile app, you can check your balance, transfer funds, and pay your bills. Anytime, anywhere, safe, secure, and just a tap away. For more information, call or stop by one of our local branches. TCCU, local banking that goes wherever you do. Member NCUA.
With February serving as American Heart Month, the Taylorville Food Pantry is promoting its availability of heart-healthy food to those in need. They aim to keep the shelves stocked with fresh produce and meats to serve their community. This is a vital component of their services, as people who are food insecure may prioritize having any food available over aiming specifically for healthier options. Pam Moses is a co-coordinator with the Taylorville Food Pantry. She says the pantry has worked for years to bring in a steady supply of fresh produce and similarly nutritious goods.
We got a shout out to Ron's Produce. They help us with that, as well as the Central Illinois Food Bank up in Springfield. We're able to source from both of those pretty regularly. We do get a certain amount from the food rescue program, but the majority of the produce that comes through our local sources. So shout out to them. They give us some pretty good stuff. But there's lettuce, there's cucumbers, there's green peppers, there's carrots, onions, apples, oranges, pineapple. I mean, what you basically see in a grocery store. I think a few weeks ago we had 40 cases of grapes that came in. So just all of those type of fresh produce, which we know is good for everybody, and something a lot of people will skip over at the grocery store because they're sometimes a little higher priced.
In addition, through the USDA, they receive other healthy foods like beans and seafood.
We get a lot of dried beans, navy beans, kidney beans, garbanzo beans, lentils, different legumes are available. And that's a high protein, right? So, and high protein is also good for the heart. So, and then over on the meat side of it, we've had a lot of seafood choice for probably the last good 6 months or longer. We've had tilapia, we've had salmon, we've had catfish, we've had cod. There's Alaskan walleye. There's been a lot of choice on the seafood. So if you like seafood, and obviously that's another a light meat that's the good for the heart. We usually have plenty of chicken as well in the freezers to pick from, and I'm sure your doctors would push that. Do we have some beef and venison? We do. Obviously, if you're low in B12, that's a good choice for you.
Amy Hagan is another one of the Taylorville Food Pantry's co-coordinators. While American Heart Month is focused on the human circulatory system, Hagan acknowledges the heart of the food pantry, their volunteers.
And quite honestly, we couldn't do what we do without them. Pam and I are only two people, and we recognize the fact that the Taylorville Food Pantry is a community service organization, a critical service provider in our community. And on any given month, we average 254 volunteer incidences a month. That's somebody who maybe is coming in for 15 minutes or maybe there for 3 hours. Regardless to how long they're there, it counts as one in that 254 number. So that means a lot of people are coming and going from our place and giving their time. So just, think about that for just a moment. And, we've got one gentleman who comes in on Saturday morning, and his primary purpose for coming in is to help us unload a vehicle that's been going on our retail route. He also picks up from a local Casey's store, and he keeps our floors clean.
The food pantry is always happy to accept volunteers. They welcome all ages and even have some local high school students helping out currently.
If you've got a 5-year-old and they've got a heart for service and you're willing to stand there and do the work with them, we prefer not to be a babysitter to that 5-year-old, but if you are a grandparent or some other caretaker to that child would like to come and volunteer with that individual, we welcome them. Matter of fact, we do have 5-year-olds that volunteer for us right now. And they're great workers. They're industrious, and they understand why they're there, and it's fun to a 5-year-old. We also have a 90, is he 95?
I think
95-year-old. So it runs the spectrum at the food pantry. We'll take anyone who has a heart for service. We typically start with the shopping experience. We need volunteer shoppers, and those are individuals that literally are matched one-on-one with a neighbor, and they help that neighbor navigate the store.
Moses says the food pantry saw a decrease in traffic during January. She believes the severe winter weather was a large part of the reason.
We were about 75 families under our average for last year. So we're still hovering around the 400 mark. We've been averaging from 425 to 475 for 3 years. And, we think it's fluke only because of the weather. So we're still helping a lot of people. Well, we have a proxy system, and we always have had. And with the proxy system, you can have anybody be your pickup person, whether it's, it doesn't matter who that is. So with that, we want to remind people, if you can't get there, or you don't have a car, or your car's broke down, or whatever it is, send your proxy. It's a simple form to fill out. It's one page. It's got your information, their information, and they can pick it up for you. I know the senior citizens van also brings people there on Tuesdays. I think you got to call ahead.
The Taylorville Food Pantry is located at 1429 East Main Cross. They are open Tuesdays from 8:30 till 10 in the morning, Thursdays from 5:30 till 7 in the evening, and Saturdays from 8:30 till 9:30 in the morning. More information is available at TaylorvilleFoodPantry.com or by calling them at 217-820-2651. Amy Hagan and Pam Moses appeared as guests on the WTIM Morning Show. The Illinois FFA Center is reviewing bids for the organization's annual convention site. Executive Director Mindy Bunzelmeyer tells the RFD Radio Network that a decision should be made this spring. The 2028 convention will be the 100th for Illinois FFA. The Illinois high school football season will start earlier than normal this year. That's because IHSA schools voted in favor of a bylaw requiring a student athlete to complete 12 on-field practices before competing in their first game. After passing by a vote of 290 to 245, the start of the football season will now be moved up to August 5th. Craig Anderson serves as the IHSA Executive Director. The first games can be played on August 20th. The Macon County Conservation District is kicking off its 60th anniversary with the return of a longtime community favorite, the Pancake Breakfast. The 60th anniversary Pancake Breakfast is set for Saturday, February 28th from 8 to 11 in the morning at the Rock Springs Nature Center on Nearing Lane in Decatur. The $10 all-you-can-eat breakfast will feature pancakes, sausage, juice, milk, and coffee served by Conservation District staff and volunteers. In addition to breakfast, guests can attend free maple syrup education programs scheduled at 8:30, 9:30, and 10:30. The programs highlight the history and process of maple syrup production, a tradition long tied to the Conservation District. The pancake breakfasts began in the mid-1990s and quickly became a winter tradition, featuring real maple syrup harvested and boiled at local conservation areas. The events were eventually retired in 2010, making this year's breakfast a special nod to the past as part of the district's anniversary celebration. This year's event will be held in the Nature Center's new indoor-outdoor classroom, with maple syrup programs taking place in the Greenberg Auditorium. Tickets will be available the day of the event, but advanced purchase is encouraged. More information and tickets are available at maconccd.org. Now to obituaries, which can be found at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. 86-year-old Philip James John P.J. Sloan of Taylorville died February 5th. The funeral service is today at 10 at Printy Funeral Home in Carthage. Funeral arrangements are being handled by Printy Funeral Home in Carthage. And 88-year-old Sona Beavers of Taylorville died January 16th. A memorial mass will take place on March 6th at 10 at St. Mary's Catholic Church in Taylorville. Interment will be at Green Hill Cemetery. Funeral arrangements are being handled by McClure Funeral Home and cremation services in Taylorville. There is a wind advisory currently in effect until 9 a.m. this morning. The temperature is at 30 degrees. We're expecting a high near 41. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 24. Tomorrow, sunny, a high near 39. Get local news anytime at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com and every hour as well, right here on WTIM, your only local news radio.
This is Blaine Cornwell with Prairie State Insurance. Running a commercial business today can be extremely complex with rising variable costs and labor shortages. Let us simplify your insurance decisions. With Auto Owners Insurance, they have several commercial